Welcome back to the class, everyone. For the last several months now, the community has been speculating a lot about what our next raid is going to be. It probably didn't help that someone kept making Zillow Beast raid videos, but at any rate, CG has finally, as the clickbait titles say, broken their silence. So that is right, we did just get confirmation from CG, at least at the time of this recording, probably about a half an hour ago, and it pretty much reads that we're not getting anything yet. And I actually believe this is a good thing for a few reasons, but the exact message says, we wanted to keep you up to date with our current raid plan, specifically Naboo raid, and the one we're developing. So that is some good communication. They do have one in development. A brand new raid is underway. It is currently in the early development stages, so we don't have a release date to share yet. We do know that it will not come before June, and the Naboo raid will continue to be our featured raid until the new one arrives. So I like this. Primarily, I'll say the first reason. This is good communication. I've actually criticized CG in the past for lack of communication on certain things, as well as over-communicating certain things like nerfs that weren't necessarily ready to launch yet. This is actually along the right track. This helps us plan. This tells us what we can start working on now or keep working on from before without having to worry that next week or 2 weeks from now, all of a sudden a new raid is going to come out of nowhere. I honestly don't believe it'll even be coming in June, just because they typically like us to give a 1 or 2 or 3 month warning like they have in the past, just to kind of hype everyone up. The fact that we aren't even being told what the raid is yet means it's probably, as they said, actually in the early development stages. So it's over communication, and this is what it's going to do is going to buy us some time to work on some other things. So I have 3 suggestions for what I think everyone should be working on right now, or at least the majority of players. And the first thing is, we need to be min-maxing the current Naboo raid. And this is going to, I will say, this is going to vary a lot per user and where your guild is currently with the raid and what your goals are. This might be a time, if you're an officer, to reevaluate maybe going after the next box, because you know you are going to be able to get it for a little bit longer. And I don't want to just, tell everyone to, Relic 9, your Luminar, and Kit Fisto. So this portion of the video is really going to be dedicated to characters that we can take up to a certain relic level that will still retain value, hopefully in some other ways, or you already needed them because they're required for something. So the first thing I want to talk about that we really should shore up in these couple months is getting Luminar up to Relic 5. The reason why I like this right now is because Relic 5 is just such a low barrier to enter with, especially on these 5 characters, who several of which are already required for Galactic Legends. Plo Koon, Ayla, and Qui-Gon Jinn, while not exactly required at Relic 5, have to be at least close to that, Plo actually over that, already giving you a nice head start. And with the new changes to the raid, this team has absolutely no issues at Relic 5 beating it. I have actually been doing guided auto, where I essentially just tell them who to target, and it's been working out the vast majority of the time. So we don't have to use better, more premium characters in here like Mace Windu or Grandmaster Yoda. You can really rely on some of the junkier characters that you got from Galactic Legends, and then just by gearing up Kit Fisto and Luminara. In addition to that, this is a little bit speculation, so take this with a grain of salt. Every single one of these characters has the Jedi Vanguard tag. So we don't necessarily know if Jocasta and her new team, or whatever new team she's going to be a part of in the next era, is actually going to participate in the raid. They might not. But at any rate, some of these characters might actually make it onto that team. I'm really hoping this stupid GAC Omicron will have a place on her team, because it would just be really nice if the Omicron that I essentially wasted, I think it's been years now, would actually come back into the fold in some way. But at any rate, Relic 5 on this team. For the droids, or rather the dark side team, you can keep using your Maul, Sidious, and Stop team if you would like, but I, not wanting to take them up to even higher relics, have actually settled at Relic 7, and I believe you can even get some really good results at Relic 5 using the B2 lead. Magna Guard himself is required at Relic 5, Maul as well as Sidious are required at Relic 7, so you already have most of the team there. B2 is needed for the gas event, where you don't have to take them to relics, but most people end up getting them to like Relic 3, just to kind of get it out of the way. This is the goal, but again, the alternative to this team that is completely acceptable, especially at R7, is the one that we mentioned towards the very beginning, or people who are using Maul lead with Sidious as well as Stop in the team. I prefer the other variation purely because I don't remod for it, and I can just, again, kind of auto my way through most of it, but this is the other option. Again, same similar threshold at Relic 7, because all those characters are required at Relic 7. You could sub out Stop for Newt for pretty much the same effect. Next up for the Jedi team, I'm recommending people get them up in this time to Relic 7, purely because Grandmaster Yoda, Shaak Ti, and Caloron Beck are already required at Relic 7 for something or higher. And then the two remaining characters that you have to get to Relic 7 to get this team functional for that tier really want to be Relic 7. In fact, just earlier today, I took Mace up to Relic 8 just because the dude likes to survive so that he can get Shatterpoint going. So overall, again, you already will probably have half the team there just by working on other projects. Whether that has happened or will happen in the future, it's nice. And then you can just add the two most valuable characters at higher relics to that team as well. I use them in every 3v3 GAC. Ki-Adi-Mundi, I literally use both of them today. Gungans, I'm recommending people get them to Relic 7 or to Relic 8. If you are an enthusiast, Relic 9 is also acceptable, just because they're such an easy squad, and they have retained a decent amount of value in PvP. For those of you who have been watching a lot of the Darth Revan, Mission Zalbar comps, it's actually one of the first things that comes in and just completely destroys it, that team on defense, as well as it's actually been really nice for a lot of these Scoundrel Crons that have 100% evasion when they are not debuffed, because they have so many irresistible debuffs to go around. It's pretty easy to take them out. We did that just tonight. And in the last highest tier, I really am going to keep recommending Relic 9 on Queen Amidala, Padawan Obi-Wan, and Master Qui-Gon. Even if you're not remodding them or really tediously playing the raid to get max score at Relic 9, 3.1 million is still awesome. And we've already talked a lot about the return on investment between Padawan and Master Qui-Gon through their own assault battle, so that's great as it is. And frankly, Queen Amidala is still an S-tier character. She's just disgusting. I misplayed recently JMK versus Queen Amidala. I couldn't kill anyone, and I literally proceeded to throw the rest of my roster at it that I had available. I had already burned Bane and some other normal counters to it, and I literally could just not burn it down even after killing Padawan Obi-Wan, because Queen Amidala is just too thick with all her stats and the decoy and Qui-Gon Jinn. It was a whole mess. So this is one thing that I'm going to be recommending this time that we need to shore up. Get some relic levels higher on these teams. Again, talk to your guild, see what they want to do. Don't just mindlessly apply them, because while another box for the raid would be really cool, the personal levels you get really do not make up for the investment at all. But again, we're trying to find the min-max solution here, where you're still getting good value without necessarily having to rely on an ROA from the raid, and really rely on what these characters are doing for you as a whole, like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Mace Windu. The second thing that you should probably be doing, and this is where I'm actually going to fall into this category, is just shoring up some relic levels on some characters that genuinely need it. Again, one of the biggest relic demands that we have nowadays is going to be a raid or maybe a new fleet. Right now, it doesn't look like either of those are on the horizon. So if you have other characters that want higher relics, now is the time. I've really wanted to have higher relics on Grand Inquisitor, because not only is he a good damage dealer, but he's also the one that you need to kill in the Inquisitorious team. Cal Kestis, really nice. I think I've lost his special mission a total of once, but at the same time, he's a great character that gets used a lot, and I really want him to continue surviving. Little bit blind on this one, but it is the new and shiny thing, so I think her having more health and damage overall is probably beneficial. Fives, this is actually one that I probably should have done a long time ago, but I've never had the bandwidth to do this, because there's always something new. There's always Leviathan. There's always a new Boo raid. There's always a Galactic Legend. There's not going to be, probably, any of that for the next 3 months where I can just completely dive in here. So I'm really excited to take Fives up. He'll really benefit from the defense and the protection that comes along with this, so that hopefully he can survive or out-survive his other clones and trigger the sacrifice. Shin and Marag just for pure damage. Spirit to Relic 7 because she's an attacker. And then Mob Enforcer will actually get Relic 5 due to me wanting to use a Datacron with her in 5v5. So the second option after actually, getting your raid comps up is shoring up some relics. These were just some suggestions for my own roster. What it's going to look like for you is going to be different. And in the final category, and I think this is going to apply to probably, at least who's watching, very few people, Hoard. If you already feel like you've gotten enough of your characters up to the Relic 7, the Relic 8, or the Relic 9 threshold, it might be really nice that when June, July, August, wherever the raid is going to hit, actually rolls around, you can just immediately take up whatever is out there, assuming that you have it accessible, which is why I'm really only recommending this for a very minor portion of the community out there that already feels like they're in a good place. You're probably, I would have to say, you're probably about 13 million GP to probably be in that category, just because I'm below that, which this is still a huge number, by the way. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm still want to finish up some of these more crucial relic levels that can, in some ways, swing counters with the right datacrons and mods and whatnot. So that is it. The raid is delayed. I value the communication. I think this is a great time for players to catch up in whatever way they can. I think focusing on the raid first is probably important, again, considering what your guild wants to do. But even on top of that, finish some other projects that have been looming out there. And until next time, thank you guys for watching, and stay awesome.